Okay, so we'll just get started. Last time we worked on some styling we really wrapped up the mobile design for some of this stuff. So now that we've got the one column layout for smaller devices, we're going to start working on the larger screen sizes. So pulling in like grid and flex and all that for what needs to get done for the rest of this boilerplate. And so after that, I think we're done with design, and I need to get this mic set up right. And we're just going to be able to focus on the navigation menu. That's my hope for this stream, that we can get to that. So we'll get started taking a look first at what is already done. So we have over here the one column design, which is for the most part done. I might do some like small things here and there, but overall happy with how it looks. So first I just noticed, so some of these aren't showing up. My server's not active, so that's why some of the images aren't showing up there. So what we're gonna do first is go to our terminal and make that happen. So I'll just do pnpm run def. And so that'll load up, we're good to go. Perfect. So I believe, if I remember correctly, we've done these first two blocks. Yes. So those are done. Of course, I don't really love this image in the background, but that's not a big deal. Then we've got content with media. So this will turn into rows as it goes, and then it only grows as long as it is within the bounds of I think it's 7XL and Tailwind. And so that means that the next thing is our 2-card header, our 2 cards. So the thing with this though is that it's going to go from 2 cards to 1 card, and there's not going to be much else that we want to do there. So I'm cool with that, but what we need to do is in our 2 cards, go to card section, index, find our, close that. So yeah, we already did some of this where if the, so smaller screens, it's grid calls 1 with a gap of 4. And so if it's card lengths of 3, then it's columns 3. If it's 4, it's 4. And if it's neither of those, it's column 2. So that means anything that would be greater than 4 or is exactly equal to 2 would just be 2. And then item stretch so that it is able to have both cards be the same height no matter what the content is. And so with this one, we just need to put in our max width that we would like. So I'm gonna find where we did that, just so I have the same one. And so it's this one right here. So I'm gonna do this here. So I'm just gonna copy this and come to our, not our content container, but our card container, because that's gonna be the thing that really sets the width without changing the background color or how things look. So I'm just gonna do class name, and then don't think I had quotes, so I can do that. And so when I refresh, it may take a second because this is coming from a cold start. We have that. And so I actually do need to include the header. So let's change that real quick, where the header actually needs to come down here. And so then that's going to be right in there. And so now that did it for the 3 and the 4 card as well. So now as screen shrinks, it'll go to 2, then it'll go to 1. So this is all done, honestly. So these cards don't need to do anything else. I'm cool with the left button. That's kind of what we're doing everywhere else. And then of course, the button should center in smaller screens. So that looks good. We come along down here, and then we've got our CTA buttons. And so obviously I don't want them to take up the full width of the screen. So this one actually should also be easy too. If we go to our CTA section, go to index, we can actually also delete our modules because I'm not using those. then take care of that one too. Anyway, let's make sure that didn't break anything, because it looks like it did. It did indeed. So let's get rid of that. And then see what error we come up with. Don't think I need this. We'll see what happens though. Maybe it did the same thing for... No, I think I just need to refresh. There we go. So yeah, that didn't do anything to the cards at all. So we're good there. All right, now we're here at the CTA section. And so what I want to do is, I think I can just set, like I did with the other ones, instead of width full, do width auto. Perfect, and then MX. And so now that will, don't love that. So what did I do with the rest of the buttons? That is the question. So if we go up to content with media, let's clean this line here. Then I have my button container. I have width full and then width half. So button container. We're gonna have to change some things here. All right, so I go to the CTA, medium width of half. So really, what is our button container doing? Button, where'd it go? So that's our button. CTA. Button container, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So the buttons flex, they're gap of 4, justify center, but medium is justify start, so it shouldn't be that far out. So what I need to do then, okay. So we're beyond medium, so I just need width to be auto here, right? Oh, but button length is 2, so that means that this is always going to be full. But if I do auto, it's going to set this back to justify start, but let's see if I can do a justify center to overwrite that. Don't think I can though. Cannot. So here's where things get interesting, because I do want most of the buttons to go to the start, but I want these buttons specifically to be centered. So if I get rid of this justify start, I should bring this back to justify center, but just to test it, I could do, so I wouldn't need that anyway. Oh wait, I wouldn't do it there either. So if I do that and then make this medium justify start, should go back to the beginning, perfect. So we'll remove that and put it where else I want it. And then even for these buttons, I'm gonna wanna do our max width, yeah, here. So first, if I want to get our buttons back to the left, let's just do this real quick. Okay, so if I take this and go to here, put it in the button container, and then we come back here and steal what I put in here, and then go to our content with media and find the button container and do class name. And then I have to do that, I think, for every button container that is here. So that's done. Then I did it in content with me or no media. And I'll do class name. We'll do I can type this out. Justify start. And then I think that's as far as we've got. No, wait, no, the card section. So here we've got our card, which is going to have the button container. There we go. So now that should put all the buttons back at the start, like I wanted. Except for these buttons here, which are going to take the width of whatever message I put in there. So it looks small now because it's just CTA01, but this is a long CTA. It'll adjust to the auto width there. And so with the buttons being auto width, what happens then if I do, let's say like a PX of 4? Does that give it some more room to breathe? Yeah, so let's do a PX of, what 16 look like? Oh, nothing. So maybe 12 is what it's supposed to be. Nope. But I can just test this out with padding. We can do 0, nope. Do 1, so 0 and then 2 rim. 3 looks good to me. So I don't remember what that is in Tailwind because for as much as I am actually being like okay with Tailwind, I still am not getting the measurements. So if I want to do PX, let's say we'll get 4 so I can get the actual place. So we have PTP, so PX 8. Okay, so I need to look here. Yeah, so PX 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so PX 12 is what I'm looking for. And we want to add that to the buttons. And I want to do it to all buttons, honestly. So I'm going to come here, whether it's primary or not. Is primary. I would like, let's see if do I have, yes I do, PX4. Let's do PX12. Perfect. So that looks way better to me. Lets it breathe a little bit more. And just gives it that true pill shape. All right, so that's the CTA. Now we got our video section, which you can see I already did a little bit here. And I just found this random video on YouTube, so I won't hit play on it or anything, but I'm going to set this max width as well to be what I've been doing for everything else. If I can find it, it's this one right here. So I'm going to go down to our content with video. And then these can both come into here. And then we got that right there. So we don't need the class name. Perfect. So that makes it a lot smaller. And now, like, with this being as wide as the video is going to get, it may not make as much sense to have the content have the height fit auto and let it have the full width here. The thing that I am seeing here is this overhang, and I'm thinking it's from some padding or margin that I don't want on bigger sizes. So if I do that there, nope, it still is doing it. Oh, am I on the wrong side? Okay, so maybe it's not the margin. Well, let's take a look at that then, because I don't want, I would like this to be even. So I gotta look and see what's happening here. What if I do items, stretch, well, that's not going to work. So then display flex, no. So that's not what I'm looking for. Interesting. So that is not what I expected to happen at all. So let's come back over here because the display name, like this, does not need to be flex. So the flex happens down here. So I'm going to put this in a new div, all of this, and have this be class name flex wrap reverse, and then the medium grid, and then I could have just copied and pasted this from the top, and I'm going to, well no, I just have one more left, so then gap 4. So then I can get rid of all of that. That should set our title back up right, and we still just do have this overhang. So let's see what this looks like here, because I do need that margin, or maybe I could just do a gap 4. Yeah, and that shows up regardless, so we're good there. Then we come here though. Oof. And then we just have this problem here. So if I do padding bottom 0, that doesn't get rid of it. So we're trying to figure out how to get this. Let's go ahead and refresh because I have some things in there. So if we come here, yeah, there's still the, I deleted that, didn't I? Margin bottom 6, that's fine. Oh, it's right there. I only need it in the medium, so I need to do medium. Yeah, I'm sure some people saw that and was like, what the heck is this guy doing? There we go. All right. So now we have that even. I won't round the video because the video, like videos typically will not be rounded. And we'll let that expand, and that looks good to me. And we come down here to our client logos. This doesn't need to be a very tall section, but it does need to fit within our max width and margin. So let's grab it here. Put that there, and then put a closing div here. That should fix that right up. Then this, I know this is not a great look at it, but if I could do this item center, I do items between. See, this is where I would rather do flex, because I could do flex, and I can do justify content between, and that looks better to me because it aligns up on the left and the right. So I think I'm going to switch this around. So instead of it being a grid, let's change it over to flex. So we'll keep item center because we'll need that. We'll keep the gap because we'll need that. And we'll do flex, and then we'll do flex wrap. Then we can get rid of that, and then do justify between. See what that ends up looking like. Gotta refresh. All right, and then if we go to smaller screen size, this actually never gets to the point where it wraps. So what I actually may do is just set this to be, messing everything up. Set these to medium. And then for small, do grid calls 1. So that way we have the stacked view there, and then once it gets to a medium screen size, it'll stretch out. All right, for our FAQ section, we first need to set this here, FAQ item. So I'm going to, I don't know what this error is doing right now, so I do need to leave that as a to-do, but I am just going to do a TS ignore for this. That way it doesn't come back to bite me later. All right, so we go to our FAQ, go to the index, we'll take a look here. So we need header, we need to wrap all of this in a div, oops. Div, and a class name, whoop. There we go, just do that, oops. And that should bring the FAQ section over, but that's also, I think, going to affect the FAQ item itself. Yeah. All right, so we can have the FAQ section be even bigger by, I think the item is what's going to have this. It does, it just has it right here. So I can get rid of all of this because I just want it to be full width the whole way. And then I can expand this. And that looks good. I think there's a margin here that I don't need though. Or maybe it just looks like it because the text is not quite aligned, but that's okay with me. All right, and so now if I open that up, it's there. I can close it, it's there. And so what I like about this is that it's going to have, eventually, the actual text in both the question and the answer readily available. So this is not calling an API dynamically. So all of the text is there, though it is wrapped in a bunch of spans and divs and all that. That's not the end of the world though. So got that there, got that there. Perfect. So this pain points section needs some work. So if I go here and we've got our pain points. So it's all just right now, just one big column, which needs to change. So first things first is we're gonna put this in here, change this div to shorten stuff up just so we can see what it looks like now. And then here we are going to want to do we're gonna have to do another div here because what I want to do is a column layout. Dang it, keep doing the wrong thing. So we'll do div, let this separate down, zoom like this, get that adjusted. And now in this div, this is essentially our column header. So we'll do class name, I don't need all of that. And we'll do grid calls 1. So that's gonna be for our smaller screen size, which does not change anything because that's exactly what it looks like. So we'll leave this gap 4. And so this is our small screen size. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. And then we can do at medium. Yeah, let's see what it looks like with grid calls 3. We don't need gap 4 again. So we come up here and then we get into our ability to have 3, and that looks pretty good to me. And so if I get smaller, that gets a little weird at the small screen sizes. So really, it needs to be maybe at the large screen size. So if we do, so at medium we can do 2, but at large we can do grid calls 3. There we go. Perfect. And so that looks good. Everything is aligned. And hey, y'all. Oops. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So next is the sponsored section, which you can see I already have some styles in there. So we'll just come into our sponsored section. And then the header is going to look different. So then we can actually set this content container, the whole thing, to be this class name. Because the whole point of, if I ever have to use a sponsored block, is that it does break the flow. So I do want it to be kind of out there, but honestly, I don't actually like that. So I think I will just do, instead of an MX4, I still want it to line up, even if it is supposed to be different. But this way the whole section, or all the text is green anyway. So that looks good to me. Everything kind of flows, all good. Next we have our steps. So this is without icons. And then I think I won't be doing much style with this, honestly. So if I come here, yeah, no, that looks fine to me. We may actually do small grid calls 2, medium grid calls 3, and then I want to see something. So if I do for large, I could do grid calls yeah, I don't know how this is actually going to work, but I could do large grid calls and then do something like steps.length. I'll do +1 just so I can get something to change. So if I do that, so yes, we have our grid calls 2, we go to grid calls 3, and then yes, 4. So that's perfect. So what I'm thinking here is that if I have 5 steps, then I can have a place for grid calls 5 doesn't exist apparently. Does 6? So those aren't working. So let's take a look here at our grid calls. So those should be working. They worked for 4. So I think I can leave it knowing that it'll work like I want it to. But this way, if I have more steps, then I'm good to go. It'll automatically adjust for me. So I think that's okay. I don't need to get too crazy with the logic there, though I could. So then we're good with our 3 steps in column view, and then we have our 3 steps across the board there. So steps with icons. This one, I don't remember if I wanted to have the green box around it, but first we need to go to steps with icons, take a look at what we have. So the header needs to go into the div. Then do I still have, I do still have it. All right, so I can get rid of this, put that div there, and let it expand like so. Cool. And then we'll see what it looks like in multi-column. So that means that this all needs to go into a div as well. Do a div, do class name. We'll do, again, a column layout. So we'll do grid calls 1, then medium, we'll do grid calls 2, and then large, we'll do grid calls not 3. We will do the steps length. Perfect. So those in, we're good there. So I need a little bit more of a gap, I think, here. So let's do, I don't have any gap. So if I do gap of 4, should separate, I need even more than that. So gap of 8. There we go. And so I don't think, I do need to change the header text, I think. Name. I guess this is dark green. It's so hard to see this for me. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, so yeah, so this needs to be text dark green. Not this. That's already set correctly. Oh, I forgot to do this for the steps without icons. Okay, so we've got all that. That's good. Let's go back a step here because I need to add this div. I don't think I need to add the whole div. I think I can just do this text. The header needs to be there though. Which means that I do need a separate div, which that means I can just put that there with this here. Tidy it up. That should move over. Good to go. So icons. I don't think I need to do the green boxes for these. So I think we're okay. All right, then we have our summary block. And then this one, it's not really gonna make sense on a page like this, so I'm gonna style this a little differently. What I think it's going to look like is width should only be like 1/8 of the screen. I don't know if that worked. I don't know if this is the proper fraction it wasn't. All right, so can I do, I need something smaller than 1/4. Oops, not width. All right, width. So let's see what we have for fractions. 1/2, 1/3, 2/3, 1/4, 1/5 might work, 1/6 should work exactly like I want it to. Yep. Let's go with 1/5. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's going to be better. So then it's also going to be, so it's not going to have, like it's going to have the padding to keep it off of the, or I guess the margin to keep it, whatever. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be kept off of the side of the screen, but it needs to be added to the end because I think it's going to be something that is, it's either going to be added to the sidebar of a blog where it can scroll down, or it may just be something included at the top, still as a sidebar. But I have a couple of different ideas for the blog because I could put the summary on the left and have just like a details bar, which is kind of what I'm thinking for this. So I may leave this on the left, but if I do need to add it to the right, I could just make the content container flex and then just do flex justify end should do what I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go. So I can do that, or I can just leave it how it is. So I'm going to leave it how it is for now. We can come back. May include this in either a blog detail column or as an aside on a blog on the left. Perfect. So next one is our table of contents, which there's not a whole lot to do to this one either. So we can just drop in this little baby to make it fit into our flow. Leave the summary block out of it, do content with map, do the same thing. Content with map, index. So all of this needs to go into a div with the class name, which needs quotes around it. So I'm going to do that to the other layout. So that's going to tighten that up a little bit. And then I can see here there's a layout gap that I don't like. So I think there might be a margin here. Let's do all the iframe. Yep, there we go. So I've got MD-MX4, which I do not need. So let's find that MD-MX4, get rid of that. There's only one, so perfect. We're all lined up there. So now here, I'm wondering, does it make sense to have this at the bottom when I can have it over here? And I think it makes sense having it over here where the address is. So we're gonna do some adjustment here where, let's see what it looks like if I just tap the div in there and then do the same thing on this side. So that didn't work. So maybe it needs to go into, oh, that's right, because it's one column, which means it got kicked out right away. So there we go. And so let's set up the width to be a little bit different too. So I don't want to do 50%, but if I can do grid calls 5 and have this span 3 and this span 2. I think that's going to be good. Let's see if I'm on the right side. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good to me. Let's do a bit of a bigger gap. Do an 8. See what that looks like. Yeah, perfect. All right, so we'll do the opposite side over here where we have our gap of 4. Then have our call span of I don't think I need both of those. So right above address, I need call span 2. Let's get rid of this. I don't know what that's supposed to be doing anyway. And then our call span of 3 right here. So what we'll do real quick, just comment all of this out. Set this to be not equals to left. See what it does. Mostly good. But some stuff's messed up here, so. So we have that right. So smaller sizes is going to put it at grid call 1. Yeah. And so it needs to not do that, that's for sure. So maybe this needs to go up 1. And what's going on with this? Margin top 4 is fine, padding 4 is fine. I need to do width full on this, not fit. No, I'll figure that out in a second. But also on it being left, I need items to be start, like across the board, right? So it gets big, oh, so items start, and then at large it'll do items end. Okay, so it looks fine. Item start, good, good. Now this is what I need to work on next. All right, let's see what we have. So call span 2 is fine. Here, large grid calls 5. So I don't need that. What do I need? Grid calls. So it should be at grid calls 1. But it's adding in 2 other columns. Oh, because something is trying to span 3 columns. There we go. So now if I open that up, perfect. All right, so if I switch this back over to just equals, then hit this down here. So it's going to switch back over to the right. That's fine. And so, yes, I need to come here and add in some larges. And I did see that that didn't work great. Well, I didn't really. So let's do this real quick. Yeah, that's not bad. So let's switch this actually back from all of those larges and do some mediums here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so, oh, we got to test that though. So let's come out here. Let's go ahead and get this commented out and that in the reverse. So there we go. That looks good. Looks fine. Looks good. Looks good. Perfect. All right, so that's it really for the responsive styles there. The summary block will come in handy later. I'm not going to use it on any like actual pages. So now, I don't like that. So let's come back up to our steps with icons. And at medium, I think we need to do flex. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but we're going to do it this way. We'll do medium flex with medium. Definitely going to have to do a flex wrap. And then do medium, do width 50%. Oh, the cards need to be that. Okay. So setting our cards at 50% is still not what I wanted to do. So this is medium right here, which means I don't actually want this. If I do flex wrap, let's think through this here. So medium, do flex, medium flex wrap, then large grid. Well, here, let's take a look. So it's this that I need to have a width. So the 50% is not small enough, but if I do something super small, that also doesn't work. So that tells me that what I'm doing is not working. So this is large. If I come here, this would be medium. And then if I do a width there, well, it's because I'm not adding it to all of them. So let's do a width of, let's just say 25% to get us in the game. Oops, not 25, 5%. Then if I do this one at width of 25%, yeah, okay. So let's go 50%, which I know is not going to work because of wrapping rules. All right, so we need something that's a little bit less than half in our width. So 2/5 should work. So if we do medium width of 2/5 and then at large, we do width back at full, and really we should do width full for everything else as well. So now, if we refresh, we do get that, and then we can do, let's say, justify space between. So that should be good there, but really I need justify center. So at medium, we can do justify center. And that gives it, I guess it's a more balanced look for a smaller screen size. also that's kind of a big gap. So medium, we'll do gap bottom 0. That's how that works. Don't think it is. Oh well. So I don't hate it. I do hate it. Let's think this through a little bit. And actually, let's Google this. So if I want to do center grid, actually, yeah, so if I do, let's take a back to this. So let's go back to where our medium grid calls is 2. We can get rid of all this width stuff. Can I center this? And then also this gap is just so big. But I think it's because the margin is so big. So I think I need to change that. So instead of margin top of 8, let's get rid of that. See if that makes it a little bit tighter. Yep, that's a little bit tighter. And then we can set this down to margin bottom of 8. Because the gap is really doing most of the work there. So let's see if I get rid of that. Yeah, that's feeling a lot better to me. All right, so then this, I would like this last item to stretch across the 2 columns. So we could do it maybe this way. Let's see. Step, and then we'll do an index here. And so what I'll do is I'm going to set a check if the item is the last one in the item or in the list. And so if it is, then it's going to stretch 2 columns. So we'll do that here in the card container, and we'll do index plus 1 is greater than steps dot length. Don't know what that's trying to add in there. So this is saying that it's going to take the index plus 1 because we're 0 indexed. We want to make sure that we are the same as the length. So this actually needs to be equal. So if that is true, we will set our call span to 2, else we'll do nothing. Let's see if this works. Yes, it does. Look at that. So all we did is for every map, you have the actual item that you're mapping through, then the index of that item, which comes back as a number. So what this is saying then is if index plus 1, so if there are 3 items, that means index of the 3rd item is 2, you add 1, now steps.length equals 3, so then we have 2 plus 1 equals 3, so that means that this is true. So if that is true, that's what the question mark is, then call span of 2 is applied to that item. That means that it is going to span across the 2 columns. And really we just want it for medium, so we don't want that for large. And that's it. So if not though, then nothing is applied here for this class name. So that's how you're going to center the leftover or the remainder of a grid. So I'm not sure how that would look with an odd number, but we can also check for that. So let's do and index plus 1. Oh, that's not what we need to do. We need to do it here, and index plus 1, index plus 1, do modulo 2 does not equal 0. So this is saying now, if index plus 1 is equal to the length of our array, and index plus 1 is divisible by 2. So the modulo returns the remainder. And so if the remainder is 0, that means it's even and nothing will be applied. If it is not 0, or in this case, if it's 1, that means that it is odd and will return the column span 2. So if I do that, nothing changes because it applies it to the odd number here. But if I hit this as equals 0, it should go back over to the left and fall into the grid. So there we go. We got our wrap in place, and then if I expand the column here, we need that to unapply. So that's interesting. How will we do this? Oh, I guess I would just unset it essentially. So do large call, call span. Can I do call auto? Is that how that works? Yeah, so it'll come back up to the top. Perfect. So that's gonna work well with 3 items. I don't think it'll work very well for, it'll work for 3 and 4. It doesn't matter for 1, doesn't matter for 2. I'm not sure if it'll work for 5 items because it'll only, oh. What would happen is that the last item would take up 2 slots, which won't make it look even, but it'll look more balanced maybe. I'm not willing to test it out right now because I've almost been going for an hour. So I think this is all done though. So we have all of our sections set up and styled for both mobile and for desktop. And so that is it for styling here. And of course, this does not look like a consistent website because it is not. So what we'll do is, this is our building blocks for any website. So I see here that our sponsored section, this is why we're taking a look at all this. This seems to have another, it looks like padding, which we don't need. So we don't need this px4 here, right? Nope. So let's go ahead and go into our sponsored section and get rid of that. And I think it was the same thing up here. So sponsored section, I like it flat. I'm not going to add a shadow. Get rid of this px8. And then if I go up to our pain points section, I'm going to have the same thing somewhere. Well, no, of course, this is not going to line up. That's supposed to happen because I did it by design. So we're cool with that. That looks good. Perfect. Oh. Why did that happen? So let's go back to our sponsored section. So that px8 actually kept that aligned, and so I guess I just got distracted that that was not supposed to actually happen. So all this is good. And what we'll do before I hop off is get our nav queried at least. So let's log in here with our test credentials. All right, and so if we go to our nav, we don't have any navigation links. So we're gonna need a home, and we could just, so we're gonna test this out a couple different ways. So we'll have our home link here, which will be internal. It won't open in a new tab. It won't have any nested links. Then we'll say, just because I'll need this eventually, we'll do portfolio. It's gonna be external. We'll say it opens in a new tab, and then it'll be, yeah, it'll be nice to actually have this eventually, but we'll do local. I don't need to do all that. Then we'll say industries, which will be no link, so it won't open a new tab, but it'll have nested links. So these links will have, we'll say like small business, And we're going to do external links for these, just because the internal link is going to be hard to do without more internal pages. So we'll do no, we'll do small business, we'll do real estate, external, real estate. And really I need to add portfolio. Do the same thing here. I think 2 is enough for this. Do industries. So we got portfolio. Oh, not even portfolio. I need industries. Industries. All right, so that's enough to test stuff out. We can actually, let's just get everything out there on the table. Do an about. No, it'll be external. And then do one more with a contact. And we'll do external, does not, and then just do contact. Since I don't have that page yet, we hit save. And then if we look at this API, this is gonna have everything that we just did. And so we've got our home link, which is internal. And so that returns a relationship, which is related to our pages, which is the home there. And so that's going to have a bunch of stuff there. I just realized that we have not done the hero section yet, so we'll have to come back to that. And then we got all of our meta information and all that as well. So we've got a lot of work to do. So, but for now, let's get this queried. And we're going to do that in a navigation component that we have right here. So we have some of this stuff already done. So let's just get things queried and showing. So if I go to our layout, I don't think we have nav right now. So if we go here, let's uncomment that. And then go to our nav, which is not showing because I guess I have everything commented out. So let's get rid of events. So events active. If they're not active, so I just need the navigation link. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So I'm clearing out some of this old project. Navbar. This isn't going to work. Or it might work. Function nav. Don't know why that's set as unknown, or unused rather. Active query doesn't matter. So layout, oh, I think I have to, that would be why. All right, so there's that. So I know this is not going to show anything. Let's go. So nav logo. We actually should just do that number there and then do a div with like an H4 or something that just says logo. And then navbar is going to take the navigation link. Let's see if this does anything for us. Yeah, okay. Why did that jump down though? Weird. Okay. So this showed everything okay. Oh, wow. So a lot of my previous work has already, or has kept working. So we're missing our icon here. Let's see if we can do that before we call it quits. And I'll walk through everything that this is doing. But for now, I'm just trying to get this to a place that I don't hate, which will never happen. This is always going to be something that I struggle with. Where we have our handle click menu bars. So current color must be what's driving this incorrect. So menu toggle, I do fill, not filter, fill and do pink, nothing, okay. Menu bars. So I see them. It should be right. Weird that they're not. Okay, so let's do this number real quick. So we're going to refresh the server just in case. See if this works. If not, that's okay. All right, so we have our nav bar, nav menu bars. They're all there. I can see that. So if I do background, I'll do pink. Okay, so for some reason it's not taking. What is happening here? Oh, I'm not even ready for that yet. So we've got our menu bars there. Menu toggle. Menu toggle, okay. So if I do RBG dark green and then refresh, perfect. Okay, then we got that. All that works great. So we've got some work to do here, but we do have now our page set up with responsive display or responsive design. So all of that is set. We went over how to do a column span for just the last item in a mapped array. And then we got our nav menu queried and showing up. So I think this is a great place to stop. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, get notifications for whenever I go live or post a new video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.